Hello, I'm Mike Mcmullen, president of the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome you to another webinar that we are having in 2020 because COVID has put us on the sidelines for meeting face to face. But I know there's a lot of folks that are out there saying, oh my gosh, Zoom, I hate it now. But without Zoom, we wouldn't be seeing each other face to face. So I kind of like it, and I'm glad we can do this. We have a couple of basic rules, and I think a lot of you know how Zoom works. So before we get into the meat of the meeting, that's interesting, the meat of the meeting, I want to give you some of the rules to Zoom. Number one, make sure that you're muted. If you're going to ask a question in the end, we'll figure that out. The best way to do it is to go to the chat box on the bottom of your screen. Just bring the mouse down to the bottom chat. You can type in a question, and I will be looking for those, and I'll make sure that you can unmute yourself and ask whatever question that you want. But if you can keep yourself muted whenever you're not actually speaking, that would be wonderful. Also, keep in mind, with Zoom, if we can see you, we can see you. That means if you're up and moving around and distracting and stuff like that, that takes away from the meeting. So there's a way you can stop your feed. Just go to the top of your screen. There's three little dots on your face. Click on that. The second one down says stop video. You can do that. You'll still be on the call. You just won't be distracting others as things go. Other than that, as far as the rules of the road, keep your phone on mute. So when it is your turn to speak, the phone does not go off. And I think that's it as far as the rules of Zoom. The only other thing is sometimes when you come on board, it won't have your name. It might just have some initials. You can change your name on the screen by hovering with your mouse over your name, right click, and then you can rename yourself. It's not a bad thing to do so people can see who's on the call. So other than that, I want to thank our friends at CMC who once again are helping us with this, and they're going to be streaming this live, I believe, on channel 19, their Facebook page, their website, YouTube, and HD 1086. So they're taking care of us on this, and they're going to record this. So when it's over with, if you have some friends that you'd like to have watch it, you can send them the link. It'll be on CMC's website, their Facebook page, and also it'll be on ours at the Chamber. So I want to go over a couple of quick upcoming events that we have through the Chamber to keep you plugged in. We have another webinar scheduled for July 2nd, 8:30 in the morning. Mr. Dennis Twigg, he's a lawyer from Hoffman, Comfort, Offutt, Scott, and Halstead. And it took a long time for me to remember that entire name. He's now the actual chair of our board for this year. And he's going to be talking about elder law and things in light of COVID-19. So I think that'd be really good. Also, we have our golf outing was going to be July 10th. We figured with the way things are going, we want to give you the best experience possible to have it feel like a real outing. So we've moved it to the end of October 30th. And there's still time to get signed up. We still have a lot of people that have actually sponsored and have signed up, but we still have some space open for that. The Carroll Biz Challenge, we had 29 people apply for this year, which is exciting. We did our meet and greet this week. Oh no, I'm sorry, last week. I'm losing track of the days. We did that last week. And the event itself is going to be August 27th at the Carroll Arts Center in downtown Westminster. And we've had folks ask many times, do you know if it's going to be like a live event? First off, it's happening one way or the other, and virtually certain we're going to be able to make it live in some way. Maybe we'll have a scaled back number of folks who can attend, and the rest will be streamed by our friends from CMC. Leadership Carroll. The class is really full right now, but that doesn't mean that between now and when we start in September, there may become an opening. So don't let that scare you. If you're interested in Leadership Carroll, you can call me up at 410-977-3111. That's my cell phone. You can find that on our website at carrollcountychamber.org. We'd love to have you sign up and attend. If you end up on the waiting list, you'll be the first one for the next year's class. So that being said, I want to introduce our sponsors today. Normally, we would be doing this at one of the branches of our wonderful libraries throughout Carroll, but things have changed a little bit right now. But that does not change the fact that our sponsor today would be Carroll County Library, also Exploration Commons at 50 East, whatever you want to call them. They are amazing. And I want to turn the mic over right now to the executive director over there, Andrea Bursler. Andrea, they're all yours.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Good morning, everyone. Carroll County Public Library is really pleased always to sponsor these chamber breakfasts. It's a great source of information. Both the library and these breakfasts get a chance to talk to the commissioners, ask them some questions. Um, One of our biggest projects, of course, is Exploration Commons at 50 East. And this is our brand new, just over $4.5 million building project that will be coming to downtown Westminster very soon. It's a 14,000 square foot project that goes in the lower level of that library, and it will include some 1,500 square feet of professional teaching kitchen. I'll have a full commercial kitchen line, so that we can do both workforce development pieces, where that we can have people come in and train on a full commercial kitchen to prepare to work in the food service industry. But then we can also hold special programs and educational programs for the community, such as how to cook nutritionally. We can have cookbook authors in who demonstrate some of their recipes. It'll be a really great opportunity for us to do some inventive and creative and exciting programs. And we're looking forward to working with the other sponsors for this morning, the Community Media Center, to do some content creation so that we can even stream programs on their channels as well. In addition to that, we'll have 3,500 square feet of high-tech makerspace. And this is sort of the heart of the project. It will include things like a laser etcher, a professional CNC machine, a whole bank of 3D printers, an augmented and virtual reality lab where people can come in and experience augmented reality or virtual reality, but then also people can program for these platforms and test out their programming and make sure that it's working right. There'll be an audio-visual lab for doing podcasts and some music recording. There'll be textile pieces, so we'll have sewing machines and a serger and that sort of thing. And then in addition, there'll be a whole platform of different software components that will help to support all of the hardware, all of the equipment that we have down there. So things like for CAD design and for programming for robotics. Our library robot Pepper, who you saw in the Carroll magazine just a short while ago, will be housed here at Exploration Commons, and we'll be doing programming for Pepper as well. Um, it's an exciting spot, and it will be the tech space will be open and accessible to anyone to walk in with their ideas, learn how to use the software, learn how to use the hardware to generate prototypes and to test out theories, and hopefully walk out with a completed prototype. We're really looking for this to be a great support organism for our startup businesses and our small businesses in the community, as well as for some of the established businesses who simply don't have the time or the resources to keep this kind of equipment on staff for the occasional R&D projects. Additionally, the rest of the space will be outfitted into 4 public meeting room spaces. And these will be 2 conference rooms that'll seat about 8 people comfortably, a classroom that seats about 20 to 25, and then a 150-seat meeting room in downtown Westminster. These will be available in the same fashion as any of our other library meeting rooms, which means nonprofits like our chamber will be able to use them for free for their events. Businesses, there'll be a small fee to help us cover some of the costs of cleaning them and keeping them up. And each one individually can be reserved for whatever space that you need. But what's exciting is that with some advanced scheduling, we can book all 4 of the spaces, so we could actually hold our own small conferences in downtown Westminster. So this is a real exciting time. We're hoping that this will support a lot of the business growth, a lot of the business development, especially in the tech fields in our community. And we're real excited as your public library to be bringing this to you. I want to say, since the commissioner for today is down in the Eldersburg area, that a lot of this was generated, a lot of these ideas were generated through Exploration Point, which is our STEAM lab down in the Eldersburg branch. And once our libraries get up and running and we can open the doors again after we come out of all of this, we hope that you'll go down and visit Exploration Point. It's got a lot of the same equipment on a smaller scale. It's designed for younger students, but everyone is welcome to try some of the equipment. And it's a great opportunity to sort of dip your toe into the technology world if you haven't already been there. Speaking for the public libraries, we're anxious, we're eager to be getting our doors open as soon as we can. But for now, we hope that you all are finding that it's easy to put your books on hold, stop by your local branch, pick them up, and go on your way. We continue to provide all of our online services, and we really hope that you'll stop by and visit us soon. So thank you, Mike, very much for all of that.
Thank you, Andrea. And I'm looking forward to when we can start to use that wonderful meeting room that can hold 150 and actually been able to have that many in one place. So I also wanted to get a word from our friends from CMC. These guys have been just amazing, outstanding with every webinar that we've done. They are a jewel in our community for sure. So I'm going to turn things over for a moment to the executive director of our community media center, Richard Turner. Richard, they're all yours.
Great. Thanks so much, Mike. And thanks to the Chamber and your great extended network. And we've really experienced great value from this business network and our membership. And I encourage those of you who are watching, who are not members, to join the Chamber to be able to take great advantage of the additional services and programs that the Chamber makes available. I also want to thank Andrea. I'm really looking forward to what's going to happen there at Exploration Commons and how we can provide an interface with video services and streaming and extend our reach really for our services out through the library network. So that's just a great partnership we're looking to see develop as that space gets developed. Also want to thank our commissioners and especially Ed Rothstein, who's here, and looking forward to his presentation. Without their support, the commissioners, the CMC would not exist. So we're really excited about these new grant opportunities, and I encourage any of our businesses and nonprofits who are looking to partner on marketing videos and other ways in which they can extend and reestablish their businesses through this grant program to reach out and contact us at carrollmediacenter.org. Thanks to the CMC team for responding during these challenging times and keeping our community informed. I'm super blessed by them. They are my superheroes. So Mike, I know at the end is going to encourage you to shop local. I encourage you to watch local by heading to our website and subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can see this content and many more of the webinars that the Chamber has been featuring. Great content that's happening right here in Carroll County. Thanks very much, Mike.
You're very welcome, and thanks. Okay, so let's move to the meat of what we have to do here. One last Zoom thing for those who aren't aware. You have two different ways you can view your screen. You can either do it gallery view where you can see a lot of people, or you can do speaker view where the person who might speak is the main actual picture that you'd have. So that's just up at the top. Just kind of, do with your mouse, and you can do that if you want to. Okay, that being said, I'd like to introduce you to our speaker today. Commissioner Rothstein is in his first term as a commissioner here in Carroll. He's currently serving as vice president of the Board of Commissioners. He comes to us with 30 plus years in the military. And he's got a really good sense of humor for somebody with that many years in the military, from my perspective. Maybe, I don't know. His latest time in the military, he spent as the garrison commander at Fort Meade. He's a major, how do you like this? He's a major advocate for small business here in Carroll. He's a friend to anybody that's opened up a place, that's got a place, that's trying to grow. He's always trying to look out for your interests. So he's from District 5, which is Eldersburg and Sykesville. So I'm really happy to introduce you right now to Commissioner Ed Rothstein. Ed, they're all yours.
Mike, I appreciate it. And going from gallery view to speaker view, I would recommend gallery view, as I have a face for radio and sometimes a voice for silent movies, but we'll do our best. And like Mike, you shared, this is a breakfast series. So I am sure you worked out this morning like I did, had a Special K with little chocolate chips, and I'm on my third cup of coffee. So I apologize if I'm going to be drinking, and it is just coffee in the morning. What I want to do is, it's not necessarily a presentation. It's more of what's on my mind for the next 15, 20 minutes. And then really what I'd like to know is what's on your mind. And we can have a conversation and discussion as opposed to a presentation. I do not have slides. I have a few discussion points. And at first I was going to go from what I believe is the highest priority to the lowest priority, but I'd rather not. I'd rather knock out a couple of things up front that are more just for information. If you want to have a conversation about them afterwards, we can. But then I'm going to talk about what really is on most people's mind. That's the elephant in the room. But first, we are not slowing down in the Eldersburg-Sykesville area. There are projects that are continuing to occur. State Highway is continuing to widen 32 for about a mile swath around what's called the National Guard Readiness Center, which is being built on the east side of 32 going northbound. If you keep going up 32 past 26, the intersection of Johnsville, Bennett, and 32 is actually being worked on right now. That has been a project that has been in the planning stage for quite some time, and a lot of advocacy from the community to help that intersection be revived and be much safer for the community. What's important about that project to me is the opportunity for us to really learn what the community needs are and then advocate for them and highlight those projects to the assets that we have and the resources that we own to apply. In this case, it's the state highway. A couple other projects that are happening behind the Safeway. Large piece of property. It's been planned for quite some time to put a hotel. It's in the final stages of the stormwater management planning and the planning and zoning for them to break ground. I don't have a timeline on for when they are going to break ground in building that hotel, but I do believe it's in the final stages of the planning. So keep looking forward to that. The comprehensive rezoning, we worked on this for about a year, focused on industrial and commercial, and we're moving into residential at this point, and then, or excuse me, moving into agriculture and then residential, I believe, in the stages. So that's continuing to move forward as well. What I really want to talk about this morning is what's on my mind and what I believe is on most of your mind, and that is the COVID-19 and how we are dealing with the situation with COVID-19. As Mike shared, I am military. We call it soldier for life. A lot of the thoughts and ideas I share come from those experiences. We're in very unprecedented times, just like we're in unprecedented times when we were in Vietnam or when we're in Iraq and Afghanistan, when 9/11 hit. I don't believe anybody on this in this discussion today has gone through a pandemic as leaders, and that is where we're at today. We are dealing with something that we've never dealt with before, and to me, we have to look at it from three phases or three situations: a tactical, an operational, and a strategic approach. And this is going to feed into what we're doing here in Carroll County. First off is the tactical approach, and that is what we can do for ourselves, for our families, for our neighbors. We can continue to adhere to the guidelines by wearing masks appropriately above the nose when in public in stores. We can continue to maintain our social distancing. I do believe that Maryland as a whole has done very well in adhering to these guidelines, and that's why we're seeing numbers that are actually on a decline, whereas 50% of our country is starting to see numbers on an incline. We are not through this at this time, so we got to continue to safeguard ourselves and our families and our neighbors. The operational piece, and that's the how do we apply our own time, our people, and our money. And I'm going to spend most of my time in this because the strategic piece is the long term, and that's the vaccine and when we're going to finally be out of masks, and it really is the unknown. But focusing on operating in Carroll County. As a commissioner, as a team of commissioners, it is our responsibility to provide a budget for the county. We recently did the budget, and it was a very difficult challenge in doing the budget because it ended up being a very flat budget. It actually was about $1 million less than our budget, operational budget from last year. In doing that, we decided that we will be reopening the budget in the fall. Don't have exact times on when that's going to happen, but what we're going to be looking at is how the income and income taxes will be applied to the operational budget. So right now, our budget is flat. The money that we've provided to the community did not really go up very much. So I guess I want to say it is what it is in unfortunate terms. The operational piece of this is we did receive money from the feds, which is called the CARES Act. We received about $29.5 million. Half of that goes directly to our health department. The other half goes to the county in a prescribed method where we are applying it to county agencies and nonprofits and a few others that were affected by COVID-19. The municipalities, the 8 towns, received about $1 million total, and they're going to be applying it across the municipalities. The Sheriff's Department also received money. The library, Andre and your team is a rock star, and you receive money, as you know. Our fire companies, the 14 fire departments, have also received some funds from what's called the CARES Act. What I want to really highlight is why we're here this morning and with the small businesses. During the first few months of the COVID-19, when we did not receive money, we were able to apply about $900,000, as you know, to small businesses. The first tranche of that money went to small businesses and was given $2,500 or $1,500. I all of a sudden forgot the amount of money to a small business. In listening to the businesses, it was decided to open up the aperture to sole proprietors and home-based businesses, and we put another tranche of money into that. We ended up doing 3 tranches of money, close to about $900,000, supporting 714 small businesses. Now with the CARES Act, with the federal funding, we have $4 million that is going to be applied to small businesses as grants. This is an important piece that I really want to share. Press release was provided yesterday. Starting tomorrow, the window of opportunity will be open for people to apply for this, what we're calling the Carroll Rebound Project, to apply for money and apply for grants. It's broken into 2 categories: the small businesses, which include sole proprietors, groups of employees 2 to 10, and then small businesses, with employees 11 to 50. It's focused on the amount of money you can receive as a sole proprietor, as a 2 to 10 employee, and then as an 11 to 50. There are some criteria. The most important criteria is that the business is in good standing here in Carroll County. The second group of funds from the grant is going to go to nonprofits. I'm going to look at my notes to make sure I don't mess this up from the press release. And with the nonprofits, those that are eligible are 501c3s, nonprofits that have been established prior to September 2019 and that employ a minimum of 1 full-time equivalent employee and a maximum of 50 FTE employees, defined at 30 plus hours per week. Ineligible or not eligible nonprofits include churches, fraternal organizations, homeowners associations, labor unions, private or political foundations. And I believe, Richard and your team, you're providing the website for this group to see, and where, to be able to go on to the website and find this press release. The difference also with this grant program compared to the previous grant programs is that the timeline is about a month. June 24th, it opens tomorrow, to July 15th. It is not a first come, first serve approach. The other programs that we did early on were a first come, first serve, and it was a challenging time because some of the windows of opportunity lasted anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes before the money was all given out. I do applaud our economic development team, Jack Lyburn and his folks, in providing a well thought out system for businesses to apply for those grants. That system is now going to be applied for this grant program. I, again, like to tout, we're well ahead of the game compared to our neighboring jurisdictions who are just getting on board on how to provide grants. And I think doing the work we did early on allows us to not crawl, walk, but actually run into this grant program from the funds that we received from the CARES Act. Success in doing this and getting through the COVID-19, I shared about the resources, time, people, and money. It's really the coordination with the state and the governor's administration. From day one, we've adhered to our governor's guidelines. I personally and professionally believe that Governor Hogan is doing an outstanding job. Some of the decisions he has made, I may not directly agree with up front, and it could be challenging, but I will share that he has been extremely responsive. We have had the opportunity to have dialogue directly with him, with his team. We have, I think, pushed the envelope in opportunities to open our small business community here in Carroll County because of the responsiveness of our governor and the administration. I also appreciate the work that our legislators have been doing. One of the focus points that our legislators have been working on, where we as commissioners have not as much, is dealing with the unemployment situation. It has taken quite some time for the administration to set up the unemployment program where it's actually being responsive to those that have gone through unemployment. But I think they're finally in a place where those that are unemployed and requesting unemployment support are getting the responses they need. And our legislators have really worked hard with that. Working with our mayors, sometimes it's hard to see the value when something goes wrong. One of the value or one of the positives that have been happening is just this, is the partnership, the relationships, the communications that we've been having with our administration, with our legislators, with our municipalities, our mayors, with the town councils, with you, our business community, and our neighbors. I feel like I'm in constant contact with Mike and the team over at the chamber, continuing to provide ideas on what we're doing, trying to get his thoughts and the thoughts of the businesses on what we can be doing more. The mayors have been meeting, I think weekly, maybe bi-weekly as a group. Commissioner Wance and I participated a few weeks ago with the mayors and had just a very strong, candid conversation on ideas on how to continue to build, continue to build the relationships we have, but then build the opportunities on how they can continue to strengthen their main streets and take care of their small businesses. A few behind the scene activities that have been going on. There's an organization called MACO, the Maryland Association of Counties, where all the jurisdictions in the state work together. We have been working with MACO in collectively providing best practices and good ideas for us to continue to move forward. There's nobody has the corner on good ideas. It really does take all of us working together and sharing best practices and some of these good ideas. Early on, I know many of you, I would expect, have applied for loans and the SBA loans. Talk about pushing a bowling ball through a garden hose. The amount of SBA loans has been an incredible historical high, and I really do applaud our banks and our financial institutions in working with the community on finding the best ways to get SBA loans and programs like that to our community. So it was loans, it was grants, it was continuing communications on good ideas on how to be innovative. The gyms are finally open, but a lot of gyms were using the outdoors to provide opportunities for them to continue to stay vibrant. So those are a few of the ideas that have been going on. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? One thing up early on, I don't like to necessarily provide so many opinions, especially on social media, on anecdotal ideas or things that I feel aren't going to change the way we are. I do believe if there's something that we can change and we have an opportunity, then it's our responsibility to do so. And what I'm talking about is we established what's called the Carroll County COAD. COAD is a community organization against disasters. Early on, it was brought to my attention, actually by Senator Katie Hester down in Howard County, Carroll County up to 26 in my district. And she shared with me how Howard County has built this organization focused on the flooding that happened in Ellicott City and looked at the community needs. And she asked if we should take a look at that and potentially build a COAD here in Carroll County. So I reached out to the community and I realized relatively quick that there was a need. And one of those needs, especially early on with the unemployment in the beginning throes of the COVID-19 April-May timeframe, that there was a need for food pantries to start setting up. We have now established 4 or 5 pop-up food pantries every week. And that's been near and dear to my heart. It's unfortunate to me that we have a community that still needs food pantries like this to get themselves through the day and through the week. But to me, we are so blessed that we have a neighbors and community that come together in providing to these food pantries. There's one that I participate in because I am a lion, and that's behind the Eldersburg Commons by Petco. And we serve anywhere from 50, 60, 70 folks on a Sunday. But what's also pretty impressive is we collect anywhere from 100 to 200 bucks on that Sunday for folks just stopping by to donate money to keep these things going. The food pantries is one part of what a community organization against disasters can provide. Other opportunities could be behavioral health concerns and issues, or other needs that are in the community. Again, it's not about one idea or the other, it's about all of it coming together. So if you want to get involved with something like the COAD, please let me know, and I can definitely point you in the right direction. It's on social media. These are things I like social media to provide. Some of these good ideas, best practices, how can we continue to strengthen our community neighbor to neighbor, as opposed to some of the, let's just say, opinions that may be out there. I've been staying farther and further away from some of those opinions the best I can. Let's see, and I'm going to end in just a minute because I do want to hear what you have to say, and so I can answer some of your questions. Just want to make sure I covered all of my notes that I had. Grant application, CARES Act, projects. The county buildings, I really do applaud our administrator and our team in the county and our directors, because they've been very innovative in getting things done in very challenging times. We are moving forward in providing, I don't want to say business as usual, but county business by appointments, and to make it as usual as possible, or as convenient as possible. So, you know, what I'm sharing with you is, if you or someone you know find yourselves in a challenging time or situation, don't let it get to a point of level of frustration. Reach out to the county, make an appointment if that's what is needed, and get the work done. The county is absolutely here for you. The work that they do and the teams that we have are finding better and better ways and practices to support your needs. So the county office buildings are open for appointments at this point. Let's see. Let me stop right there and kind of give you, I think, a handful of things to chew on. And Mike, do we have any questions or any comments so far?
Yes, we're going to have one. I want to ask one first, though, too. Maybe you said this and I just missed it, but with the grants that we're going to have now, can those who receive the grants earlier, like the first rounds, can they apply for these as well? And can they possibly receive them? I think you're shaking your head yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the first set of grants that we had going in, I think it was April, May, that was our money. That was our county money that we were able to apply. And again, it was the quick turnaround in doing that, you know, providing about $900,000 to about 700 businesses was just phenomenal in my eyes. And it was a very quick turn. This is funds, and it's actually, like I shared, $4 million that we're applying to our economic development team. And it's prescribed in a way that it's not a first come, first serve. It is starting tomorrow for about 3 weeks to apply. And the details are going to be in the press release. But yes, they can definitely submit. And I encourage everybody to submit for funds. And if you're not sure if you can or cannot, my recommendation is submit. My recommendation is build the communications with our economic development team and let them be the ones to say no, as opposed to you not submitting and not knowing. So.
Thank you. Yeah, I've always said with things like that, when in doubt, fill it out. And I saw that Richard just put in the chat box, he put a link to the press release. So that's great. We do have a question from Laura McCoy, and I'm going to let her ask this herself and also be able to introduce her. Forgot exact title, but we've all been used to, I believe, dealing with Miss Megan Eves from BGE for a while. Her job has changed, and taking over her role is Miss Laura McCoy. So Laura, I'll let you ask your question.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay, Mike?
Sure can.
Okay, great. Good morning, Commissioner Rothstein. I was interested in the point you were making about the sort of disaster relief collaborative. And I didn't catch where you said we could find more information about that.
Well, Laura, for you specifically, I believe I'm talking with you later on this afternoon, and I can share with you direct information from me. For the rest of you, one, you can reach out to me, and I'm sure Mike is going to provide, and you should already have my email information, my contact information. On social media, there is a Facebook page called the Carroll COAD, and you can find information from the Carroll COAD, and then start building your relationship and ideas on what you want to accomplish. They do have weekly meetings on Mondays. Everybody is invited. I don't want to go through the points of contact, but I think if you just go on social media, and I'm sure all of you are on Facebook or social media some way, the Carroll COAD, you'll find the information.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? You can put them in the chat box, or if you know the feature where Under participants, you can raise your hand, your digital hand, not your real hand, because it'd be hard to see you. We'll field any other questions. And there's been looks like Lisa puts a post up with a link to the Facebook page. Thank you, Lisa Picker. While I wait for a question or two, I do want to say a couple of things. You know, I've been in this job now, it's crazy to think, but in September, it'll end up being 10 years. So I've had a chance to work with a lot of different commissioner boards, not a ton, but it's been 3 at this point. And I have a lot of respect for you guys. You guys do a good job. You guys get along well. Seems like we have a lot of really mature adults in this group, or at least most of you. I think it's great to watch that. It's great to see that. I think it does a good job to represent Carroll to the rest of the state. So I really do appreciate that. And I also love the fact that our job really is to build relationships. I mean, at the chamber, that's what we've been doing since 1924. And it's not just with business to business or business to the actual community. It's business to our elected officials. And to have an actual platform like this where people can talk to you, talk to the others, get phone numbers, get emails, and don't just rely on hearsay and the Westminster online Facebook community that's not always so kind to anybody. To be able to call you up directly and ask questions. I just want to thank you really for your time. We do have another question, but I did want to get that out and thank you for your time to even do this call.
Mike, before we get to that question, I appreciate it. And one thing that I'm very proud of is the work we do to be transparent, to be open about what we are doing and the communications that we have amongst each other as a Board of Commissioners and also with the business group. As I shared, the budget, establishing the budget was very challenging. We all had our priorities, we being the commissioners. One of the priorities that I had was, and I believe it was with all the commissioners, was not to raise taxes and not to put it on the backs of our community. Every surrounding jurisdiction from around Carroll County has raised their taxes over this last budget season. And that is something that we're sticking really hard to do. In doing that, we had to look at other ways to bring money in, revenue in to our county to do the projects and the programs that you so much deserve. One of them had to do with fees and raising fees, and permitting fees and other fees. And I think, like you said, we work together very well. We may not agree on how to get it done or the approach to getting it done, but at the end of the day, the end state, we're all collectively looking at what is the best end state for our community. It was a challenging time, and I really appreciate not having a groupthink amongst the Board of Commissioners. I do have an appreciation of all of us bringing our ideas and then collaborating together and then making something happen. So, and a lot of that does come from you, you collectively, the business community and our community at large. So yeah, what's the question?
Excellent. Okay, we have a question. Andrea asks, what do you see as the next steps for opening the county? And you know what, before you answer that, you could also couple that with the next question from Richard, who says, what can we encourage all of our residents to do to make the reopening successful and avoid a resurgence of the violence? So it's kind of like a two-part.
Yeah, and the thing is, none of us have a crystal ball. So none of us know what that resurgence is going to look like. From understanding the experts, there will be a resurgence. How can that resurgence be minimized? The way that resurgence can be minimized is that strategic, getting a vaccine and getting ourselves in a place where we're being vaccinated against this virus. What we can do to minimize it is the best practices, is continuing to adhere to the guidelines that have been shown to work. How well they work, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But, you know, when I'm told the face mask helps me from transmitting, a virus, then, you know, it's not that difficult to put a face mask on. And then also make sure the face mask is above my nose and wearing it appropriately. The face mask also does not, and again, I don't want to be so parochial about this, but it doesn't take away the responsibility for social distancing from folks that, you know, we don't know or we're not around all the time. So maintaining that social distance, maintaining the good practices with the face masks. You know, the one thing, again, a plus for me has been the opportunity to bond with my family. My daughter, Emily, is getting a degree, a master's in England. She had to come back. My son had to come back from college. It was an opportunity for us to bond. And that's been a very positive thing. A negative thing is I haven't been able to see my parents for quite some time because of maintaining the social distance. It's a hard responsibility that we got to continue to maintain. It's not done. As far as what the next steps are, I believe the next steps are going to be to continue to, through best practices and through these numbers being less and less, to open up the aperture of what's already in place. So in other words, the 50% growing it to 75%, growing it, you know, to a certain level where we're going to feel comfortable having larger groupings in certain areas. It's going to be a challenge because you know it's counter to that social distancing, so they got to be able to maintain that social distancing. I think what's going to be next is, although you're allowed to do something, doesn't mean that you're already doing it. So I do know that a lot of places of worship have still not opened up their doors. So getting them in a position where they are comfortable and their congregations are comfortable to go into those places of worship and, you know, and participate appropriately. I think the last step is going to be really focusing on our seniors and allowing our seniors to congregate and be in places where they're together, like our senior centers. Our senior centers will be probably the last to reopen, which is a real challenge because the senior centers, a lot of folks are dependent on them for socialization, but also for meals. So we've increased our Meals on Wheels program to make sure to assure that our seniors that have taken advantage of those programs in the centers are now able to get meals through the Meals on Wheels program. But I think the senior centers and our children, child care centers, in opening them up, schools are still being, you know, in a challenging position of decision making. Both our public schools and, like I shared with my kids, colleges on how they're going to start opening up. Again, I'm not saying anything definitively because I don't know. I mean, sporting events, we're all waiting to see what happens with sporting events and things like that. But in our community, senior centers, child care centers, schools, those are the next steps. When they will be, we'll find out. So.
Thank you. We've got a comment and then a question. So we have a comment from Katie Kirby, who's executive director of a wonderful nonprofit here called Together We Own It. And she wants to thank you and the other commissioners for including nonprofits in this round of funding, and to thank you personally for your commitment to feeding those in our community who need food. So that's great. And those folks are amazing. If you've never heard of them or seen them, you should check them out. They do great, great stuff.
Katie Kirby is a rock star and they do wonderful stuff. And the co-ed and these pop-up pantries and programs could not exist without programs like her and others contributing to their success. So thank you.
That's great. And I agree with that. I agree with you about that, about her. Also, okay, now we have a question. I guess I'll read it from Laura Morton. She's asking, can you tell us about the proposed diversity commission. What do the commissioners envision? What community organizations will be included? What's the goal? So an overview about the proposed diversity commission.
No, I appreciate it. It was brought up last week, not as necessarily a reaction to activities that have been going on. That may have been a catalyst for the conversation, but this was thought of by the commissioners, over time, and we just started. Where it's going to be at the end of the day, I'm not sure yet, but we just started to have the conversation about the needs for diversity, or the needs to recognize diversity in our community, in our county. We have commissions on other organizations and other needs. Diversity was one of those that was addressed last week. I think we still have a ways to go. Should it be a formal commission or not, still has to be decided. I think the first step, and I've shared this before, is that listen, learn, lead approach. The opportunity right now to listen to the community on what are some of those needs, what are some of the programs that are taking place. Do we need to add another level of bureaucracy, another level of organizations to promote those things that are already happening? I think the jury's still out on that. So listening and learning to groups. It could be an advocacy approach, just an advocacy effort of those programs that are already in place, and then allow us to participate, or allow us to share with the community, hey, these events are happening, and let's participate in these breakfasts, in these activities to promote stronger relationships around the county. I apologize, Lori, it's not a straightforward answer, because we just started having a conversation last week. I think it got some interest in the community. Now it's an opportunity to listen to you and others on what you think may be good ideas, and then figure out how we should apply our resources. Again, resource, time, people, money. How are we going to apply our resources, bringing together a commission, if appropriate, or an organization led by the county, or should be led by the community. So a lot of words without a very straight answer. I apologize, just because we really are in the beginning throes of it, and we're really in that listening, learning approach. So that's kind of where we're at with it.
Thank you. If there's any other questions, type them in the chat box. I haven't seen them yet. Doesn't mean we need to go the whole way. I don't believe there's any more questions that I'm seeing right now. So I want to thank again Commissioner Rothstein for being with us, for speaking with our group. He's extremely approachable. Whenever I call, he usually answers the phone. And if he doesn't answer it, he calls me right back. So I think that's a good thing. Andrea, I want to thank you from the library for sponsoring these, and hopefully one of these days before the end of the year, we'll actually be meeting in person at a branch to have a little bit of breakfast.
I would love that, Mike. And of course, in a year, we'll look forward to having one of these at Exploration Commons.
I love that too. Richard, I want to thank you and the team at CMC. You guys are awesome. You guys are rock stars. So
well, thanks so much, Mike. And I just want to point out that last webinar that was done with Kelly Frager was absolutely excellent on emotional intelligence.
Yes.
It resonates with some of the comments from Commissioner Rothstein about sometimes we get a little wrapped around the axle and we get our emotions out in front of us when we respond on email or on the social platforms. And she gives great advice on how to think about that and give it some context and how important it is, not only in our personal lives, but also in our business. So just a plug in there to, if you did not catch that, go back to our website, or actually on the Chamber's website, and you'll be able to see the full presentation by Kelly.
Excellent, thank you. And I also want to just kind of give a shout out to the fact that life is crazy right now, right? There's so many things going on in the world that we can't change, we can't have any impact on, and it can get you down if you focus on the things that you can't do anything about. But if you focus on the area that might be within your area that you can influence, like shopping local. I know it's something that gets to be, just folks will say shop local, shop local, and it's kind of what you say, but it really can save a business, can save a family. There are restaurants, there are shops that you like to go to. And if you don't support them through times like this, they may not be around later. The way this whole COVID thing has gone, it was the perfect storm to usher everybody towards Amazon, everybody towards the large businesses. And where Amazon is okay, because I don't hate it that much. If they were here in Carroll, I'd like them even more. But, you know, sometimes you have to shop online for things you can't get here, but that's not too terribly often. We have 625 local businesses listed on our website, carrollcountychamber.org, that you can come to. I'd also toss out and say, if you're a small shop and you're not a member, you should look into us. We spent a lot of money trying to market the website to bring people to the members. So please keep that in mind and keep your money local. You know, I say this all the time. When I last looked, Amazon doesn't pay 5 cents in any local taxes. They don't support Little League teams. They don't go to your churches. They don't give any money when you come to them looking for money for like a raffle you're going to do. If you're a non-profit, the small businesses do. So that's something you can control. You can't control what gets tweeted out of the White House. You can't control what's going on with like COVID all over the world, all over the US, but you can control where you're spending all of your money, or at least a lot of it. So any last comment that you want, Commissioner Rothstein?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I 100% agree with you. I truly believe we should never complain about things we cannot change. If it's raining out, wear a rain jacket or get a bar of soap. If it is something that you can change, then go about and change it. You know, together we're going to get through this. I don't want to say a tagline of mine, that listen, learn, lead approach. I really believe in. It's going to take all of us. But the thing that really matters to me most is life is good. And life is very good. And it's even better when we're all working together. So I appreciate this opportunity to share a few words with you. You know, as you shared, I try to be as responsive as I can and as approachable as it allows. So for all you collectively, please feel free to reach out to me and we're going to make things happen. Okay. So thanks again.
Thank you very much. So to end this, I would say pretty much what you just said. I like to say, be kind, stay safe. We'll definitely get through this together. Thank you so much. And we'll see you on July 2nd for our next webinar. Bye-bye.